Please? No. Yeah, come on, man. What we gotta do to keep you? Guys, I told you, I'm not ditching your game. I just want to try out some other stuff, that's all. Oh, man, what have we got to do? Yeah, do you want more heirlooms? Do you want more collection events? I mean, we've got some skins we can reuse, we can chuck them in. Yeah, obviously he wants those things, but I think he wants a little bit more. What? No, I don't want more collection events. I want more content. Just spice things up. Give us all more reason to play. Oh, so like remove tap strafing. I'm sorry about him. It's okay. But look, guys, I'm just gonna take my things and I'll be back, I promise. No, please. What's the big deal? We'll buff Ballistic. We will. You will? Yeah. You love Ballistic when he's got his blue and purple perks, right? Yeah. 2 tacticals and your sling changes with your armor? Yeah. Consider it added to his base kit. Really? Dude. And, we'll increase the overheat time. You will. We will. And, we will up the ground damage of your smart bullet to 20. And we'll give you a speed boost. A mental speed boost when you're in your ult. Dude. Chill out. No. Let's hear him out. We'll give you a perk that increases your ult by 15 seconds. Yes. And we'll give you a purple perk that silences enemies when they overheat. Yes. And we'll let you carry care package weapons in your sling. Oh my god. I mean, that all sounds amazing, but I loved him how he was anyway. You don't really need to do this for me. I really appreciate the offer, but I'm still gonna head out. Oh, thank god. We'll give you 4 tacticals. God damn it, I'm in. Yes! Get in! Yeah, let's go. For God's sakes. I hope you enjoyed that little skit that I just put together. That was a lot of fun. But hello, welcome to another video. Season 24 is here in Apex Legends, and with it comes probably some of the most out-of-pocket changes we've seen from a new Apex Legends season in a long time. This includes all weapons have been buffed, helmets removed off of the floor loot, and is now only available in care package weapons where it will give you either gold or red armor. And oh yeah, red armor is now no longer achievable through leveling up your Evo shield. Instead, purple is now the max. They've also added arsenal so you can get weapons of your choosing and upgrade them. Kind of Apex's version of the Warzone loadouts. So that, plus no helmets, has tremendously lowered Apex's TTK, making it feel, honestly, a lot quicker than even Warzone. But all this is secondary to why we are here in today's video, and that is the Ballistic buffs. I've been a huge Ballistic enjoyer, still currently the #1 on PC for Ballistic kills, with over 65,000 kills. I've always loved playing him, but when I heard he was getting buffed, I knew I had to come back and check him out, just to see what he's like to play now, and not to spoil my thoughts too early, but Respawn absolutely delivered on the Ballistic changes. So what I'm going to do is go over his changes, my thoughts on them, and offer some tips that I've gotten through the last week of playing him. So, let's get into it. In the background is going to be some gameplay. Do not judge my aim or gameplay at all. There's a low sense of crazy. Oh, hello. He just dashed behind me, bro, my aim. I'm super rusty, and I'm super washed, but I'm working on improving on that. So, Ballistic, what changes did he get? Well, quite a bloody lot. In this skit, I mentioned pretty much all the changes, but just in case you didn't get them, here's a quick recap. First of all, Ballistic's perk Slingshot, the perk that allowed Ballistic's sling gun to upgrade based on his Evo shield armor, has now been removed and added to his base kit. Secondly, the extra bullet purple perk has also been changed, as Ballistic used to have 1 Whistler charge unless he used extra bullet, in which case he would have 2. Now Ballistic has 2 Whistler charges by default, and extra bullet now takes it from 2 to bloody 4. Which is absolutely insane, and I can't wait to discuss that in a moment. Next, Ballistic Sling can finally equip care package weapons, which is awesome, and gives them infinite ammo as well when he's in his ult, whereas before he couldn't do either of those things. The overheat reaction time is increased by 0.2 seconds, which doesn't sound like a lot, but trust me it is. I've fought a lot more Ballistics this season, and the overheat is way more punishing than it ever used to be. And finally, regarding the Whistler, it now does a base damage of 20, not 10. If you've got a direct hit, it used to always do 20, but if it was on the ground and an enemy ran into it, it would do 10. But no, now it universally does 20, which I think is amazing and a really, really good change. For his Tempest, aka his ult, you now get a mental speed boost, the equivalent of what feels like having an Octane stim at all times when you're in your ult. And this not only goes for you, but it goes for your whole team as well. Again, this is insane. Then for perks, we have a new level 2 blue perk called Killing Time, which increases your ult duration by 15 seconds, and a new level 3 perk Quiet Time, which silences enemies for 6 seconds when they overheat with the Whistler. Oh, Jesus Christ. This is all so much to take in. There isn't a single bad thing in here. Respawn low-key cooked with Ballistic, and we are seeing that play into the meta, with the Apex pick rates now showing Ballistic is a top 3 legend, whereas before he used to actually be in the bottom 3, so it's a real change up from what it was a few seasons ago. I even made a whole video talking about how Ballistic was one of the least played legends and why I didn't think that was justified. But now, it seems everyone's on him, which, as someone who's been playing Ballistic for nearly 2 years, I absolutely love to see that. Seeing him shine after so many years is just so much fun. However, to me, this does feel like an inevitable nerf is coming, which I will talk a little bit more about in a second, but any nerf that happens to him will still make him 10 times better than what he was even just a season ago, so I'm really not going to complain. So what do I think about all this? Well, if you can't already tell, I'm absolutely over the moon. The ult changes and the speed boost especially is just insane. Ballistic really feels like a powerhouse of a legend, and extremely useful not only to himself, but to the team. In my opinion, Ballistic being the absolute definite article for what an assault legend should be. The ability to put care package weapons in the sling is really cool. We've always wanted that as Ballistic mains, and I've seen a couple people online saying, what's the point with the fact that the care package will always now get Ballistic's ammo buffs? Is it really needed to put in the sling? And to that I say absolutely. It just simply opens up more options, because if you have 2 stacked primary and secondary weapons, it just means you can carry them plus the care package weapon. Now your sling weapon could also be stacked, and it's just one of those where it's situational. Depending on which gun you would rather lose, you now have a lot more options of where you want to put your care package weapon. I personally really like the fact that we have this option now. It's just one of those small things that I think are really, really valuable. And the perks I absolutely love, and it goes without saying that the new blue perk is an absolute go-to. To have 15 seconds of extra ult time is just insane. In my opinion, it's literally more than doubled the use of his ult in fights. There are nearly no occasions I've found recently where my ult ran out, or I felt like I popped it too early. And let's not even get started on the 4 whistlers. I mean, it's insane. I never thought I'd see that, but here we are. Now, personally, do I think 4 is overkill? Yes. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna be biased, but am I abusing it? Of course I am. The reason is, it's simply better than the silence perk. Now, the reason it's better than the silence perk is, 1, because you need an enemy to overheat for them to be silenced, which if it just silenced the enemy when the enemy got hit with the Whistler, then it would actually be, in my opinion, better than the 4 tactical charges, or at least be on par because of how punishing it would be to be hit with the Whistler, because we all know from the OG Rev days how punishing it was to have your abilities stripped away from you, and it would make Ballistic even more scary and aggressive, because if he takes your abilities, you are simply an easier push for someone like me, an aggressive player, and that is absolutely perfect. However, I do understand that could potentially be a little bit overpowered, considering all of Ballistic's buffs, so I do understand why that isn't the case. But if Respawn want both of these perks to be viable, I think the 4 tax probably is going to get nerfed, and silence needs to be buffed or changed in some way to make it on par. But it doesn't work like that, at least not yet. So, 4 charges it is all the way. Simply because you have multiple uses for the tac. If you guys have ever watched any of my previous Ballistic guides, I talk about this in a lot more detail, but to kind of summarize it, the tactical has 2/3 main uses. Ground control, damaging the enemy, and it's kind of the same thing as the last, but punishing the enemy. Ground control being you can place the Whistler on the ground to stop people peeking certain doorways or entrance points, or to create a safe space for you to be able to peek if you needed. You can place it in doors, entranceways, and you can just play the little orb that it creates on the ground, because most likely the enemy is not going to cross into that orb. But also, if you wanted to deal the final blow to an enemy, or deal any additional damage, or for the heck of it, see what armor they have, the Whistler is also useful in that way. Or finally, Whistler them so they are easier to push. Being an aggro Ballistic player has a lot of outplay potential, as you can essentially force a win in a 1v1 by forcing the enemy to fight you close range and overheating their gun. The Whistler is super strong in close quarters, and like I said, I think Ballistic Ballistic has always been one of the best 1v1 legends in the entire game. People are now just finally starting to see it with his buffs. Also, sorry by the way if I'm saying all this a little bit too quick, it's not really meant to be a guide, although if you are learning, that's absolutely amazing. This is just me sort of quickly going over things. But I'm sure I've missed something, so let me know in the comments if I have. So, before, with 1 or 2 attacks, you had to be careful how you used it, but now it's essentially spammable. It allows you to use it in every single way more than once in a fight, which is absolutely nuts. Like I said, it will probably get nerfed, maybe reduced to 3, or there'll be some other way they nerf it. I hope not, because I'm really enjoying it, but let's be honest, it probably will, which if it does, I'll cover it here on the channel. It could end up doing less damage or be less effective, I'm really not sure, but regardless, if it's still in the game, use it while you can, Ballistic mains. It's absolutely insane. And if Quiet Time gets buffed, that will most likely be the go-to as well, or at least be on par so you have multiple options. But overall, diving into some of these changes, one thing I love is they all go hand in hand with each other. Like, in my opinion, all of Ballistic's changes didn't fundamentally change how he's being played, so my guides I posted way before this are still useful. He's now just simply easier and stronger to use with the same playstyles. But finally, I know some of you are probably wondering what the best sling weapons are, as all the weapons have been buffed and jigged around, and the meta really isn't the same. There's no hammer points, there's no disruptors, and also the Havoc is now in the care package, no turbochargers. Yeah, a lot of Ballistic's go-to sling weapons are no longer either as good or usable at all. But here's my answer. All guns outside of marksmans, I'd say, even snipers, except the Sentinel, are now usable in a sling. But my top 5 weapons for the sling so far this season are Rampage, which comes charged. The L-Star has one of the best TTKs and is one of the go-to weapons this season. Prowler comes with Select Fire. Eva A just speaks for itself, it's absolutely insane this season. And the R9, which I believe has one of the lowest time to kills in the entire game. Now, like I mentioned, all guns are good, but all LMGs in general are nuts in the sling. The car is nuts in the sling. And the likes of ARs as well are nuts in the sling, which, especially if you're M&K, AR distance is simply the way at the moment to combat the TTK in my opinion, so LMGs and ARs are also something to consider putting in the sling as well. At the moment, my go-to strats so far are either to run double close range and SMG or shotgun in my primary and secondary, and a longer range sling gun. LMGs, for example, because I found they're good for mid and close range, or like an AR, like the R3 flatline, stuff like that. Or I run an AR or LMG in my primary, and an SMG or shotgun in the secondary, and a close range sling gun. But even then, that can still be an LMG, but basically LMGs are just too good not to be using. It really depends on your playstyle. As long as you have one mid-range to long-range gun in your loadout somewhere, and in my opinion 2 decent close-range guns, it absolutely complements Ballistic's playstyle to a T. Now, that's all the positives, but there is one negative that I have to voice in this video, which surprisingly isn't related to Ballistic at all, and it's actually the time to kill. Now, I'm not gonna just sit and complain, I'm sure you guys see a lot of that on social media in general. What I feel like I have to offer is a bit more constructive. Buffing all the weapons was something people asked for a lot in the past, which I think the devs have delivered on, but it's kind of been done over the top if you ask me. No red armor and no helmets and stuff is really making it a bit too low of a TTK if you ask me, and that's all I'm gonna say. I think it should be tweaked a little, either bring helmets back, or allow us to get red armors again, or give us a little bit more health, just something just to help a little bit, just because there is not as much clutch potential in Apex fights, and peeking is super punishing now, and I know some of you think that's a good thing, and you're not wrong, but I think it's just been done to the extreme a little too much. It's a little too low if you ask me, and it's actually just made it a little bit harder for me to enjoy Ballistic's buffs, because I am dying a lot more frequently, but I am slowly getting used to it and able to appreciate Ballistic a little bit more. But I do think something needs to change in either the mid-season patch or next season just to make it a little bit slower. But overall, for some tips I suppose I picked up on using Ballistic this season, one I will definitely say is make use of the new hop-up, which gives you your ult quicker the more damage you do. I believe it's on the Nemesis, the car, and I'm not sure what other guns. I don't know if the G7 is one, but I've been using those guns. I've been using the car a lot just to get my ult, and same with the Nemesis, because you can get it super early. I've been getting my Ballistic Ballistic ult super early, and let me tell you, Ballistic's ult early game is just insane. I've always thought Ballistic is a better mid to late game legend. Early game, he always struggled a little bit. Now that's completely thrown out the window because you can get his ult sooner. And he's also just stronger, that also helps. I'd even throw a gun like the Nemesis, which has the attachment that gives you your ult quicker, in the sling early on, just to help me get the ult quicker as well, even though the Nemesis isn't typically a go-to sling gun for me. In terms of Ballistic's playstyle, play him aggressive. I wouldn't suggest running it down as much as I did before, purely because you're gonna get one clipped. But do some damage at AR range and then send it. You can definitely pop your ult a lot easier in fights if you have the blue perk, so timing is less crucial, I'd say. Honestly, third partying on Ballistic got so much easier. As soon as I'm close to a fight, as long as I have my blue perk, I pop my ult just to get to the fight quicker, knowing I have 15 extra seconds, so I can capitalize on my speed boost, get there quicker, clean up the fight, and just simply get more kills. The speed boost is genuinely insane. Like I said, all these changes really go hand in hand with each other. For the Whistler, remember, overheating is now a lot more deadly than it was. So when using your attack either for space control or to punish the enemy directly, keep the fact that the overheat is more deadly in mind when making your decisions. I have to say, most of the time now, unless I need to clutch, heal, or run away and play passive in any way, I'm opting to use my attack a lot more aggressively directly on players, as it's now a lot more effective and we have a lot more of them. Before, I would say it was a nice even 50-50. I would use it for ground control or to punish the enemy, but I would have to say it's now more of like an 80-20 split in favor of obviously overheating the enemy. If you guys want a more in-depth guide, I'm more than happy to make another one. Let me know in the comments below. Like I said, my previous Ballistic guide is still effective, it's still useful. Just because Ballistic is now significantly stronger doesn't mean any of those tips in that video are no longer of use. In fact, they're just a lot easier to execute now. But that's really all I have to say. This was a brief insight to what I think, but I am streaming 3 to 4 times a week on Twitch, running pubs, and absolutely loving Ballistic and kind of doing a bit of a kill grind again. So if you have any more questions or you want to watch me play, I'd love to see you guys over there. And if you are a COD viewer and you made it to the end, thank you. I really appreciate that. Don't worry, COD and Apex content are hopefully going to be coexisting on the channel going forward, so don't worry, you are not getting neglected. And honestly, I'm super excited. But yeah, W Ballistic changes, you're absolutely sleeping on him. You always have been, but now more than ever. He's super fun and one of the best solo 1v1 legends in the entire game. And now he's just in his prime, in his final form, and you will absolutely have a blast on him. I know I am. Thank you all for watching this video. If you guys didn't know, I have started a second channel, which will be linked in the description, which is for more frequent content, as the content I post on this channel, I spend quite a lot of time editing and putting together. So that channel is designed for essentially more low effort content, for more gameplay centered, raw, unfiltered content. I'm hopefully going to be posting fairly regularly on that channel, so yeah. Thank you so much for 20,000 subscribers. It's insane. I was at 7,500 before Christmas, and now we're into February, and we have 20,000 in here, which is absolutely incredible. I can't thank you guys enough, and yeah. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.